It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brouhaha once again. Dale McKee Marshall Wood here, ready to go at it and talk a little bit. Dale, how you doing this fine day?
Hey, I'm doing great. What about you?
Right. Well, we got lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to probably, we got the Super Bowl set, but before we get into that, we'll start with you mentioned that in your article, don't you? Sideline.
A little bit about Super Bowl?
Yeah, a little bit about Super Bowl.
Well, I was just trying to throw a Mississippi perspective on it.
Was a big perspective.
A big one.
Well, there's a lot of folks in there from Mississippi, looks to me like. I mean, I can think of a couple. I was sitting there, and, A.J. Brown is in there, and Willie Gay and Chris Jones. I mean, those are big-time players, and they're up in the middle of it, son, in the middle of it. Mississippi's well represented.
They sure are.
Yes, sir. Who you like in this thing?
I right now the Eagles because I'm not sure how healthy the Chiefs are. Now, that could change in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that is true, 2 weeks.
So.
High ankle sprain, though, takes a long time to get over one of them. That's what Mahomes is allegedly got.
Yeah, well, he's got something because he was having a hard time setting when he was throwing some of those passes. Most of his passes had to be short there most of the time. But, the Eagles are like a machine right now. Man,
they are. They are. And I tell you what, that's just such, to me, vindication in a way for Jalen Hurts. I mean, not that he needs any, but, I mean, I was so hard on him when he first started over there at Alabama. And I tell you what, he made a fool out of me. Of course, it's not hard to make a fool out of me. I do that myself. But I'm going to tell you what, there's just nothing about that guy that I just don't respect.
Yeah,
he's first class and a hard worker, buddy. And he's in the limelight.
He is.
Fixing to be worth a bunch of money. May already be.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else exciting going on here that you want to talk about? We're going to talk about basketball tonight with our guest, are we not?
We are. We're going to talk a lot about it.
Yeah. You know a lot about basketball, don't you?
Not that much. I know that you have to shoot the ball and it has to go through a net.
Have you ever coached basketball?
I have.
Well, shut up. I mean, just shut up. Don't tell me that. See, you have coached. You are a basketball coach.
But I had a very simple philosophy, like I do in everything. I would tell the kids, I said, now, if you want to make an easy basket, steal the ball, run down the court, and make a layup.
Yeah.
And so we practiced a lot of layups, and then we had a few out-of-bounds plays, and we just got after it. Yeah. And won a few more games than we lost.
You won? Oh, now you're not only were you a basketball, of course, once a coach, always a coach, but you are a winning basketball coach.
Barely.
But
my job, I didn't really think was winning at that time. It was developing players for the high school team.
Oh, okay.
And,
you were in the development mode.
I was, we need to, supply them with some good talent.
Well, the plot thickens here because first of all, you were talking about it. Then I found out you're a coach, but even you're more than a coach. You're a developer.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not surprised.
I don't know about that.
I mean, you're developing me.
Oh, I am?
You're trying to, but you ain't having much luck, are
you? You're getting there.
Okay, well, I'm glad.
Maybe this guy today can give you some tips.
Well, this guy today, now, I've been a fan of this guy for a long. Well, I was a fan of this guy for a long.
Okay.
But I got to tell you, when I heard him over there calling those Oak Grove football games, it got a kind of little.
Well, I think he saw the light, as they say. Right?
Yeah.
He saw the light.
Tell us about him. Tell us about who we got.
We got Kelly Sander.
Yeah.
He used to be a long-time sports announcer at TV7, and now he's in the insurance business, I believe. But he still does a lot of basketball stuff. I know he's done stuff for William Carey in the past. Right now, even as he's does some Pro River basketball. I don't know if it's radio or streaming, but we finna find out here in a few.
Well, He's a gifted speaker. I mean, and I've never really spoken to him like in this context, but he's really good on the air, man. He's as good as they get, and we're in for a treat with Kelly today.
Yeah, I think we are.
Well, listen, let's don't put it off. Let's take a break here from a sponsor and then be back with Kelly right after this word. What do you say?
That sounds great.
Hang on, folks. Hear from this sponsor, and Dale and I'll be back with Kelly Sander right after the break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Kelly Sander. How are you today, Kelly?
Everything's made for love.
There you go. So, anyway.
Great conversation starter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, let's go. Let's just tell the folks a little bit about you. I seem to kind of know a few things about you, but tell our listeners where you from.
What you do?
Originally, I was on the bad side. I was a Yankee, for heaven's sakes. Born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa, and but have been in the Hattiesburg area since 1985. And as you get older, you get smarter, and you go, you know what? The South is a pretty good place to live. And so I've been here ever since 1985. Was the sports director at WDAM in Hattiesburg. Mitch Williams and I kind of held things down. And then my wife passed away in 99, so I had to get out of TV and raise some kids, and have been in the insurance business ever since, but keeping busy with sports, doing a lot of work for Pearl River Community College in Poplarville. I do Jeff Davis County football, Summerall High School baseball, kind of just hanging around,
Well, so you like to follow the winners. That's what you're telling me here. You're trying to follow the winners, Summerall, Pearl River baseball, Davis football.
I'm a Bengal fan, so I'm kind of licking my wounds today.
That was I don't know. That was a very unusual game yesterday, as far as that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a Joe Burrow fan too, but I like the Chiefs quarterback too. I thought he was playing hard, and then of course it's going to be a tough road forever who plays the Eagles. I really believe. What's your thoughts on the Super Bowl before we get into basketball?
Actually, now that this has happened, I absolutely could care less.
Okay. All right. So
no, with my Bengals on it. No, but you like to see, Quez Watkins from Southern Miss is on the Eagles, so he's going to get that opportunity. The Kelsey brothers, one with Kansas City tight end and the Philadelphia Eagles center, they're brothers. So there's a neat story there. I'm just a little tired of the Chiefs. The Chiefs are kind of becoming the new New England Patriots.
I got
so
you.
I'm an AFC guy, but I'm kind of cheering for the Eagles just because they haven't been there as often.
I got you. Well, we got some, there's just so many from a Mississippi perspective about this game. First of all, the Andy Reid, he coached the Eagles for 13 years and he's been with the Chiefs for 10. That's going to get some, I guess.
That's another great storyline for sure.
Yeah. Well, we got one too in Mississippi Connection. We got two boys from Starkville High School. It's going to be in the Super Bowl. Willie Gay of the Chiefs and A.J. Brown of Ole Miss. And I think the Eagles have got like 6 Mississippians, because you got to throw Gardner Minshew in there. I have to mention Gardner because his aunt lives here in Waynesboro, so we got to get
all the more reason to cheer for the Eagles this go around.
There you go. So anyway, let's get around to baseball for just a minute and tell us what your thoughts about maybe the Pearl River baseball team and maybe the USM baseball team.
Well, Pearl River was recently, of course, they won the Natty last year. Natty is what the kids call the national championship. So they won the national championship last year, preseason number 1. This year, no reason to think that Pearl River is not going to be an excellent team again. Just the pitching staff that Michael Avalon has put together down there is, he even thinks it's as good, if not better than the pitching staff last year. And you guys know pitching is everything. I even tell my little leaguers that's why the guys who work only once every 5 days, like pitchers do, usually starters, that's why they make more than a lot of the position players is because the pitching is that important to the game of baseball. So Pearl River's loaded again, and now this little road way up to Hattiesburg, a lot of the Pearl River guys finding their way to Scott Berry's program at Southern Miss with Tate Parker joining them, and Landon Harper a couple of years before. Reese Ewing is a former Pearl River guy, so it looks like there's that connection there. And I think Southern Miss's team this year too. Everybody says, "Well, we're just not sure about the pitching." Well, I am, and the only question that there might be about the pitchers is not the quality of the pitching staff. It's just where are you going to put all these guys? Because lots of great arms. It's a good problem to have this many good players, but everything is about managing expectations, right? When you look at this Southern Miss baseball schedule this year, it's probably the toughest it's ever been. So if they don't come out with as good a record as they did last year, people automatically are going to say, well, they're not as good as last year. It may not be true. It's just, when your schedule is as tough as that, then you might be a better team but not have as good a record, So I think just manage expectations. The Eagles are going to be a great team, and unless they just really get banged up injury-wise, there's no reason why they shouldn't get to a regional again this year.
Well, that's a good recap of the Eagles and Pearl River. Okay, let's get around to basketball. What's your thoughts on USM's basketball, the men's program and the women's program, their first year in the Sun Belt?
Well, I'll tell you, Dale, it's interesting because last year, I was one of the few people that would that would publicly make a stand on where I stood with Jay Ladney. The first 3 years were a real struggle. That's no secret. But when I looked at his history of coaching at other places, the fourth year has always been the turnaround year. I don't know why, but this is his fourth year, and it has been a big turnaround year. These are all good influx of international players. He brought in Juan Cardona as an assistant coach, who has a lot of ties with international programs, and you can see that by the players that have come in. Felipe Hasse from Chile. You've got Natalia Alvarez from Puerto Rico, and there's some other foreign players on the team, which brings a different style of play. The international style, like Felipe Hasse is a 6'9" guy that can bang it inside, but he can also go outside and shows a real nice touch from the three-point area. So with these players coming in and Juan Cardona's influence with those international players and keeping together some of the guys that he had over the last couple of years, this has been a magical combination for Jay Ladner. He's in the last year of his contract, so the timing is good there as far as that goes. And you really have to be proud of the fact that Southern Miss and Louisiana Monroe were both picked to be by far the doormats of the Sun Belt this year. And the Eagles are only tied for first, and Louisiana Monroe is just a game or two behind. So those two teams have far outplayed their expectations. And there's no reason to think that the Eagles couldn't land in one of those top four spots, which the way the Sun Belt tournament is set up, there's a double bye for the top four seeds. So you're automatically in the quarterfinals, meaning you only have to win the title, you only have to win 3 games as opposed to winning 5, which is a lot better chance for any team. Southern Miss is deep. They go 11 players deep. They've been spreading the wealth. A lot of times they'll have 5 guys in double digits. They have double-digit scoring. They have taken care of the basketball especially well. Very few turnovers compared to other teams. They've out-rebounded everybody except one. So it's just been a great year. And on the ladies' side, Joy Lee McNellis's bunch at Southern Miss, they're tied for second place now in the league. And this was a team that just prior to Christmas, when the Lady Eagles played William Carey of Hattiesburg, that team was so banged up, Joy Lee McNellis literally did not know if she was going to have 5 players to finish out calendar year 2022. She did, and they've gone on. Just the emphasis on defense has really worked well for them. Now, Dominique Davis was hurt in a game this past weekend. She's the leading scorer. She's definitely the player that makes that team go. She has had some back spasms and some problems, so I don't know how that's going to transpire. She had to come out of the game on Saturday that they lost in overtime. But but clearly she's going to need to be in the lineup if the Lady Eagles are going to continue this success down the road. But their next 4 are at Reed Green Coliseum in Hattiesburg, so that bodes well for them. But just a record year for both basketball teams. It's been great. Reed Green Coliseum is full again. Fans are enjoying basketball, and it's been great to see.
Kelly, this is Marshall. I kind of want to change courses with us here for a little bit, and I feel like a bad guy even mentioning.
Yeah, Marshall, good to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you.
I've enjoyed listening to you through the years. I remember listening to you when you're on 7, and I don't get to hear you do your deed here in some of these other places, but you're greatly appreciated and respected. We appreciate your time today. I want to hit you with a couple of topics that may be dirty words, but I'm going to say the portal and the NIL. You've been around this stuff for a long time, and you've got educated positions on things. Tell us how bad is this for sports, or is it good for sport? Where are you on this stuff? Let's start with the portal.
I think it's both, but as far as like Southern Miss, we just look at it from a Southern Miss angle. So far, the Eagles have reaped some really good benefits from the portal, particularly in football. When you look, a lot of the Mississippi kids, including kids from Waynesboro,
yes,
right, who committed to Ole Miss and some other places. You know, Austin Crowley in basketball comes to mind. You know, just a lot of these players, and I understand the allure of wanting to play in the SEC. I get that.
Yeah.
And don't fault them a bit. But when you're Mississippi State and Ole Miss and have to compete in that league, you have to recruit from all over the country. And they've got the budgets to do that. But where it sticks the Mississippi kids sometimes is on the outside looking in. Okay, so Southern Miss has reaped the benefit of the transfer portal in that these Mississippi kids who thought they were going to get to play at Ole Miss and State wind up, for whatever reason, not getting to play. And when you're an athlete, you want to be on the field. You want to be on the court.
Yes.
So Southern Miss is selling their programs in the right way where they go to these kids and say, look, you're a Mississippi guy. You can play on our team. You're good enough right now to play as a Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
Why wait perhaps 3 years at those other schools?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of these kids have said, yeah, that makes sense. So the Eagles in particular have gotten to reap the benefits of the transfer portal. Now, where they will lose out is, unless you've been living in a cave, you know, Southern Miss doesn't exactly have a lot of money
Right.
To be giving kids automobiles and, you know, a lot of these big NIL deals. Now, the Southern Miss Athletic Department is trying to be proactive on this, led by former Director of Football Operations John Miller from Ole Miss. John Miller used to be at Southern Miss. He's heading up a department for Southern Miss to kind of develop an NIL plan. And, of course, part of that is going to be funding it as to how Southern Miss can at least get some players. But they're never going to be able to compete financially, you know, with some of the Power 5 schools. But so far, you guys, I would say, as much as the evil has been talked about the transfer portal, Southern Miss has done very, very well because of the transfer portal.
Yeah, both on the gridiron and in the basketball court. Let me ask you this now. This is a casual observation that I made early on, say 3 or 4 weeks into the football season, the collegiate football season this year, and I saw some people playing strong. I saw some people winning some games that didn't expect to win, and I said, might this contribute to some parity? I mean, for like a Southern Miss, some of the you know, not the super teams that you see out there, but do you think that that's a prospect that we may be seeing out of the portal is parity?
100%. And you looked at, we talked about the Southern Miss, that defensive line for Southern Miss this year, and Austin Armstrong, you know, who was the defensive coordinator, who has now since left and gone to Alabama, but 4 guys, I know of 4 from Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Arkansas, and Missouri. I think Southern Miss had 4 guys on the defensive line that they brought in from the SEC. And the kid from Arkansas was actually a native of Tylertown. So right there, that defense that Austin Armstrong had is led up front by the defensive line and anchored by, you know, 4 guys that came in from the SEC. So right away, it upgraded that Southern Miss defense immediately, which made them, more contentious in the league.
Yes.
Compared to, so it's going to be a supercharged junior college, if you will. The portal.
Ah, okay.
You're going to get, guys that can help you immediately, and you can target these guys immediately and you can sell what they want to buy. And that's playing time. Because you guys know, too, from being around sports. Yeah, you guys know from being around sports, every kid wants to play in the league, right?
Yeah.
They want to play in the majors or they want to play in the NFL, but they can't play in those leagues if they're not seen. And the only way they're going to get seen is to play.
Yeah.
So Southern Miss is selling what they're buying.
Amen. Let me ask you this. Do you have an opinion? I mean, the NIL, it's the Wild West. There's no, based on my understanding, there's no guidelines, there's no limits, there's no directions, there's no parameters, nothing. Do you think that there's going to be some organization, I don't know what the NCAA really does except put on a basketball tournament, but is somebody going to develop a national program that we can adopt to make it to make it even, or do you think it's just going to stay like it is?
No, well, I think a combination of the two. I think the schools will start developing their own structures for this reason only. Because right now, all right, let's say we're recruiting you and school XYZ, and we want to give you, let's just be reasonable, a $100,000 deal. All right, okay, so you come to our school for $100,000. Well, you come to the school and find out that you're going to get beat out for that position. You're not even going to play. Well, right now, there's no rule that says I can't go to school ABC next year and keep my $100,000 that you gave me. So schools are going to be reluctant in giving kids whatever it is they're giving them without some assurances that those kids are going to stay. And right now, there's nothing that guarantees that these kids will stay. So the schools, I think, will develop something to protect their investments, so to speak. And it'll be sooner rather than later, because I don't care how much money you have, you're not going to go doling out that kind of money without having it protected somehow.
Yeah,
it seems to me.
That makes perfectly good sense. That's the kind of answer I was expecting out of you. Good answer, Kelly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I know you needed that. Let me ask you one. I've started talking and I can't shut up, so here I go. I'm going to ask you something else.
I'm good.
You call multiple sports, and I can't even call one, but I try. Which one you may not feel comfortable saying this? Which sport do you enjoy calling play-by-play on, color, whatever, the most?
Oh, no, this is an easy one for me, and I'm glad to answer it. It's baseball.
Okay.
Baseball, because I played it. Yeah. All right. But second of all, baseball is played at such a pace that, to me, what a lot of people enjoy about baseball are the anecdotes. The little stories, getting to learn about the kids that play these games, their families, their churches, their hobbies, the things that, to get to know these kids, not just as baseball players, but as human beings. Yeah. And with the speed of basketball and with the limited time that you're given in football, there's just not a lot of time to do that. But in baseball, you've got time in between pitches. You've got time in between innings. It's a laid back, it's a very comfortable setting. And so baseball, to me, it's a lot more than just balls and strikes.
Right.
It is about, sharing these kids' stories. And there are some great stories out there. And I'm always flattered when I'll call a ball game and say, hey, you were talking about that kid the other night? And I'll say, yeah, I had no idea about that kid's background. And he said, I've been a fan of this program for 3 or 4 years. To me, that warms my heart because, it's obviously important that kid's story get out, but it enriches the listening experience for that person. Because to me, sports are so much more than just the final score. It's about, each individual athlete's struggle or successes, and you just don't get time to share that in any other sport other than baseball.
Well, that's a good point because I do the football stuff and it's just not much time. I mean, and I get that. But I tell you what that does do. It tells us, our listeners, it tells me you put an awful lot of work into getting to know those kids. And I know that's a blessing in itself, but it just doesn't happen that you can sit up there and talk about those kids. You got to spend a lot of time up close and personal, and it's obvious that you do that.
Yeah, and the kids, later on, when they become young men and get married and have families and whatnot, it's just amazing to me that the number of them that will come up to me and say, Mr. Kelly, I just wanted to tell you how much, you've meant to me and in my life and all that kind of stuff. I'm going, dude, I'm just the radio guy, and they'll say, yeah, you are, but the fact that you took so much time with us meant that you cared.
Yeah.
And we didn't realize it when we were kids how important that is, but we do now.
Yes. Sir.
And I just, they'll say, I just wanted to let you know how much it meant.
Yeah.
And I'll say, brother, that's why I do it.
Amen.
That's why I do it.
Good shot. Well, listen, one of the things, when Dale lets me talk, when they doesn't shut up, I usually just run the clock. And the clock is about out for us tonight, Kelly. So tell us a little bit, Dale mentioned this earlier, how can folks find you, like on social media? That's probably one of your favorite things to talk about. But where can we find you? Are there Twitter or Facebook? You got any of that?
And I do, but I really, you guys, with all due respect, I could care less if anybody follows me.
Okay, good deal.
If they want to follow me, contact the IRS because God knows they know.
Well, now, tell them what your daytime job is. Do you have a daytime job?
Yeah, I do. I'm still senior agent with New York Life Insurance Company in Hattiesburg, but I've been with them for 27 years, and by the grace of God, that business is flourishing. But sports is and always has been my first love. You guys know.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
It's obvious, brother.
Sure do.
Well, listen, Kelly, I'm going to take us to a commercial break, but we're going to ask you to hang on with us. We're going to sign off for a break, but you hang on with us, okay?
Sure will. I'll be right here.
Okay, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsor. Then Dale and I will be back with tonight's final segment of the Brouhaha right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everyone. I tell you what, Kelly, he's to me, he's iconic in this area down here from sports. I mean, he's a consummate professional. And I'd forgotten, about his wife passing away, and I was disappointed, when he left WDAM, but I certainly understand all that now. And what a blessing it was to have him today. He's a fine Christian man, and he puts his heart into everything he does, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. It was good. I've known him since, I guess he went to TV7 back in the 80s, so, I've always considered him a friend, and I have a little business dealing with him from time to time, so he's a good guy.
Yes, sir. Dale, exciting times, couple of weeks from Super Bowl. We've talked about that. Anything else you think we need to cast out here before we sign off tonight? You got any closing remarks you'd like to hit us with? Any pearls of wisdom or jewels or anything like that? Just blank, man? Just nothing?
No, I just think that we just got a lot going on right now because you've got the end of professional football, you've got the start of baseball, and you got basketball right in the middle. So I think it's a good time.
It's a good time if you love sports, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And we love sports. I know you do. But, our time is about gone for this evening. So Dale and I are going to sign off. We do want to encourage you to join us during the week on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha and on our YouTube channel where you can see all the shows archived, or not see them but hear them, on our YouTube channel, which is at the Brouhaha. And but for now, it's come that time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
And we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.